Hey everyone, my name is Parker and this is my magnetic story. So, about 8 or 9 months ago, I found Lacey's work through the Almost 30 podcast. I was obsessed with it from the jump, and so after listening to so many of her podcasts, I thought, you know what, this would be a great opportunity to just join the pathway and see what could happen because it was so different than the older New Age rhetoric that I had heard before, and it challenged a lot of the beliefs that I had previously held. And so I thought this was exciting. It felt, spiritual, but it didn't feel so woo woo. It was so logical, so many psychological practices put in place. And so I got the subscription, and I was really calling in a boyfriend at the time. And so I was working on how to manifest. I did that workshop so many times. I did Reparent, which is now called Unblocked Inner Child, several times. And during this time period, I had not passed a few tests, and had a wake-up call about who I was really wanting to have in my life. So I cast my list. I wrote a list of non-negotiables of things that I was looking to find, things that were believable and real, and I could see out in other people, something that I could find within 6 to 9 months. So I wrote my list and then put it away. And then I also was looking for expanders. So 3 expanders that were really helpful for me were John Philip III, Taylor Phillips, and Jeff O'Donnell. Those were 3 guys that I found on Instagram that were in successful gay relationships that didn't fit this negative mold that I had seen previously growing up. I had a lot of programming about how gay relationships were a certain way, and they were very negative in my head, and I didn't want that even though I knew I wanted to be with a guy. So it was like a lot of conflicting feelings. So I found my expanders, said no to a lot of people, said no to a lot of opportunities, and was building my self-worth up and saying, it's okay for me to say no, and that's not on my list. This person might be like 90% of what I want, but that last part is important to me as well. And so that's a no for me. And still being nice, but saying no. And then eventually it came to a head when I was at a part-time job, and my boss told me that she wanted to choke me out and that she wanted me to hide financial documents and et cetera, et cetera. There was a bunch of things that were very wrong with that job. And so since I luckily already had an FU fund already in place, I said no to her. I gave my 2 weeks notice and said I wasn't going to put up with that type of behavior, and she immediately cut me, which was awesome. And so it was great. So I left the job, had my FU fund in place, have been saying no to tons of people and opportunities that didn't fit what I truly wanted, were not 100% of the believable qualities that I wanted in a partner. And 4 days later, like magic, I found my current boyfriend on Bumble. We went on a date, and it was perfect. It was so amazing, and I was like, did I just find the person that I've been looking for? And we've been together for several months now. Life is really great. I'm excited for us, and yeah, it's just been amazing. It feels like magic. And then last week, I moved in with my boyfriend now, and I found that old list that I had crafted of what I really wanted, and I went through everything line by line. It was every single thing that I wanted, he had, and it was amazing. And it blew my mind that taking these steps, taking actionable steps, but also having the spirituality in between, where it felt like you really are working towards something amazing and spiritual, yet it's psychological in practice, was just so awesome for me. So I shared it with the online Facebook group, and it was really cool to be able to share that experience. So thank you, Lacey. Thank you to your team, and I'm ready to keep going.